Welcome back to Marketing Champions. I'm Howard Walpuff, your host on dailyadbrief.com, and we're going to be talking about marketing with marketers from all around the country, getting messages out there for their clients. Today, we're talking with San Francisco, California, and Andrew Burnett of Lumino Digital. So, Andrew, welcome to the conversation today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, you have been doing a number of things. You've had a busy year plus because your company started last year. So why don't you tell us a little about how and why you started Lumino Digital and what specifically you're doing with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lumino Digital is just barely past a year old, but I would say I've been doing this for about 4 to 5 years now. Started this with some coworkers from our past agency and are really focusing on digital reputation at Lumino. So, all the parts that I think big agencies sometimes don't have a specialty for, things like Wikipedia, Glassdoor, and even things like public records, everywhere that information seeps out, but maybe, they don't have a good finger on the pulse of that.
I think companies would be pretty amazed of how far their name goes without them knowing, and what kind of information has been put there by somebody else or gathered from different places, but it hasn't been updated, and you may make an update the day after they pull that information. And really having the right people to track that and make sure things are accurate is extremely important.
Yeah, totally. I think the biggest thing that people, at least big companies, big agencies, don't realize about some of these platforms, I'll keep going on Wikipedia and Glassdoor because those are good examples for this, is that there are a lot of rules to these specific sites that are different than like their own channels. Like they want to think it's like their website or social media where they can just go on and do almost anything they want. But the truth is they have very constrictive rules about what they're able to do, and not following those get them into even bigger trouble. So a lot of our work is just education.
And it's important to know that the right formats for these different platforms and making sure you're getting your information out. But Wikipedia can be a resource that not a lot of companies really take full advantage of. I think one of the initial things that come up on search will be Wikipedia. So why is it that companies aren't spending more time with it?
Yeah, this would be my real quick brief on Wikipedia. Wikipedia, you're so right. It's super important. Everyone should care about it. It's like the first Google result after your website. Usually it powers the Google Knowledge Graph up on the top right. And if you ask any of your voice search options, it's typically the first thing they read from about any topic. So all of that is the reason I think it's valuable, and anyone that I work with typically does. Of course, then you have a lot of companies who have a lot of misunderstandings about it, think it's still the same as it was like 12 years ago, just like a Wild West where anyone can edit. I would say the big thing anyone needs to know about Wikipedia before even diving in farther is that the site has really strict conflict of interest rules. So if you have any conflict of interest with the subject of an article, whether you work there, whether you're paid by it, even if it's your spouse and they work there, you should really know two things, which is you should not directly edit that article in any way, and you should be transparent about your connection. So Wikipedia's editors are happy to see you get involved, but you have to follow their rules, which are very strict when there's a conflict of interest. Happy to go into more depth on those if you want.
And knowing that is very important. I think there's a lot that people don't know about the strength of Wikipedia and the back and forth of how to get things on. I know I've seen a lot of other people putting information on different pages, so I'm glad the editors are working to make sure that doesn't always happen on a regular basis. But where else is it important for people to have that digital message out there, and where do you see this evolving over the next couple of years?
That's a good question. And I would say that the ones that we focus on are typically, again, ones that you don't own. I mean, we do a lot of social media work, but what we are often working on at Lumino is more what other people are saying about you. I mean, marketing is so much what you're saying about yourself, but we place equal, if not more importance on the conversations being had about your name. And those are often in places that are outside of your control, but that doesn't mean you don't have a really keen eye on them and know what you can do if possible. I mean, Glassdoor is a big one for us, and similar sites like Indeed and things like that, where, especially in this kind of post-COVID world where workplace culture is super important, you might have, all kinds of talent and maybe even like media sources looking at your Glassdoor and things to then see that things are going really poorly or have like a downward trend post-COVID. Maybe you haven't adapted to the times. And then other places I think that people don't realize are, just to bring up another one I said earlier, is like a public records or something like that. Like maybe a common Googler wouldn't find those, but like if you were a media outlet or a journalist and you had 2 to 3 extra search terms you knew to combine with a company, it's amazing the kind of things that can pop up very quickly in results. So sometimes our projects are just telling a large company what the first 20 pages of Google say about them with different keywords, because that can be shocking.
It's shocking is a good word, because there's amazing things that can be found on these sites. You have an employee that was not happy with their experience. They start writing things on a Glassdoor, Indeed, and you don't see it because it doesn't pop up on your radar, and there could be problems that grow from that. It's all one of the biggest keys of reputation marketing, that if you have something negative against you, that you immediately are responding to it, so people aren't seeing that you're just leaving it out there, and really having some strong guidance for the right places to find the challenges that are out there on your digital footprint is really great. That you launched this and you're getting out there to connect with companies and save them from themselves and from others out there on different platforms of the internet. So I thank you for sharing this with us and what you're doing, and really good luck to you as you move on to this next second year.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate that, and I hope we get to chat again sometime.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us today. Andrew's really doing some great things protecting these companies from what's out there online, and the things you don't know can really harm you and harm future business coming your way. So check out more information about what he's doing at Lumino Digital on dailyadbrief.com. But go out and have a great rest of today, and we'll see you next time on Marketing Champions.